Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I am giving a brief game mastering guide or little course thing. This is kind of about theory and technique. We're not going to be going into game mechanics in this one. In the next part, we will be going to game mechanics, but for this one, we will only be focusing on technique and theory. So you don't need to follow everything that I say as law or as some sort of divine right. It's ultimately up to you. These are just ways I think about GMing and the ways that I have perceived GMing throughout the years. Halo Mythic being a very game I love and hold dear to my heart. So GMs have three jobs: telling the story, refereeing the game, and organization. The story. While some GMs say they can run heavy combat games, they at least need a story to keep the players engaged. Our jobs when we write the story is to keep the world and the plot consistent. You could have whatever story you want. It just needs to stay consistent. Like, if you're say, I don't run heavy role play sessions. Moderation. GMs on the opposite side of combat heavy games run story heavy games, as I said earlier. But players aren't here to play make believe, if you know what I mean. Yes, you do need dice in order to moderate a game, and ultimately that'll end up with some confusions and some rules checking. Our job as moderators for a game is crucial to playing the game. If we don't know what we're playing and how we're going to play it, it's not going to be a very fun campaign. Why even bother playing a campaign if you don't know how to play it, right? This doesn't mean you need like a full, like, memorize all the rules and know everything by heart. You just need to know at least the foundations so you can make quick rulings on the fly if need be. Organization's kind of the least fun of the three. It's just scheduling the game, preparing the game, and running the game. There's not much to be said. But how do we portray the game? This is we're talking about theory for a while. Consistency. I brought up consistency earlier in storytelling, but as GMs, you need to keep track in the world and make it consistent. If I state that pigs can fly, then they can fly. But if I say pigs can't fly after saying pigs can fly, that breaks the verisimilitude. Unless the fact changes for justified reasons, and that fact should stay the same. Like, even, you know, it should just stay the same unless you change it in character. And I'll talk about the Halo games briefly and how Halo is portrayed in Mythic. When new players typically join, they think of it like the video games. They think that they are a Spartan and they can just run and gun. Halo Mythic is a very lethal system. Your player's going to die quickly that way. Um, and that's where I'll talk about Halo ODST. When we imagine Halo ODST, we think of the damp streets, the hiding between buildings, and life or death choices, and very, very limited amount of ammo. And then I call these tones and themes of a campaign. The tone being dark, gritty, life or death, while the theme being not everyone is a super soldier. Tones and themes are important to campaigns, so you can keep like a narrative cohesiveness and a central idea, I guess. The trilogy game: Halo 1, 2, Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3. So when we think of these three games, we see Master Chief and his trusted shields, his Cortana, and the UNSC by his side. He's a super soldier, and these games' tones are, albeit correct, they're just very different than Halo Mythic plays. Yes, you can play the Spartan in Halo Mythic, and it's going to be a very big power gap, but again, it's still not as you imagine the video games. But what is our goal as a GM? We have two goals: the players and the game master. Fun for both of us, if you know what I mean. Fun for the players, fun for the game masters. When the players aren't having fun, your campaign can halt. And while your players might be having the time of their life, you might be having an awful time with the campaign. And that could really grind things to a halt. We need to keep this in mind when designing encounters, sessions, NPCs, villains, anything. Storytelling in War and Halo Mythic is this is kind of a difficult one to talk about. When we see very modern depictions of war post 1914, we get kind of postmodern very war as hell portrayals of, you know, the 21st century and of war. Um, and I believe Mythic thrives in this sort of like war as hell kind of style of games. But however, any style of game is perfect. But I personally feel like playing in a war as hell setting is very, very much Mythic's style. The larger than life games are kind of like the Halo trilogy. You're a big Spartan. You shoot shit and it dies easily, or it kills you easily. It goes both ways, you know. However, I find underdog campaigns really fun. They're very It's like fighting against a stronger enemy, like the Covenant, or if you're an Insurrectionist campaign, you're fighting against the UNSC or the Covenant, or really the UEG. Um, Storytelling, the Covenant, the Insurrectionists, and the UNSC. The Covenant tell a very different story than modern war has you believe, since it's very much so, you know, oh shit, there's a fucking CRS in the sky and it's gonna glass our planet, or there's a big brute and it's smashing my friend's skull in, right? It's very survival and very much so like we have to fight these guys or die, fight for your right to live. Um, Insurrectionists kind of tell us more like modern version of how we view war. There's people hidden. You don't know who's an insurrectionist, who could be an insurrectionist, who has a bomb in their chest. Very, very much like Afghanistan, the war in the Middle East. The UNSC kind of tells a story, both those stories, because we're fighting. The UNSC would be fighting the Covenant and the insurrectionists, and it's, you know, both stories in one. The war on all fronts, if you know what I mean. The player characters, the players and the player characters. What makes the individual characters shine? Well, you gotta know your party and your players and your characters, um, and manage the spotlight around them. Spotlight management is very important because you don't want to be focused on one guy throughout the entire session, because the other couple of players not gonna have a great time with that. Um, you want encounters to be designed with the strengths and weaknesses of the players in mind, so you can not perfectly, but you can at least guide the spotlight to the people, like, you know, designing with characters in mind. Know thy party, know thy enemy. Knowing your player's abilities and strengths, as I said previously, is very important to designing. You don't want to make something that's literally impossible for your characters, unless you want to do that, that's fine. But you don't want to make it like too easy or too hard for them. You want to have like that perfect vector where you can have it be a good combat. Or you can make it harder or easier for them. Life's not balanced, you know. Know thy enemy. This is pretty self-explanatory. Just know the people just know the NPCs and the monsters you're throwing at your players. It's simple than that. Like some monsters are better than some aliens are better than killing other humans than others. So how I create and maintain Halo Mythic campaigns. This is very much more cinematic and very kind of subjective to me, but I like to do like a season, where each season contains a couple of arcs. This right here is just an example of like a season I've created like in my mind, um, and draw.io to be specific. The villains of these should at least be um, within the season itself, or you can have individual arc seasons. This is how I typically do in the seasonal method. And you need to have a consistent development through the seasons and the arcs within the seasons, so the players can feel like they're growing as characters, and they should be growing as characters. Draw.io is good because you can visualize the plot without railroading them. It looks like here that I am railroading them, but um, says missions, not sessions. When I say missions, I mean these are like mission 1, like we have to get our feet, introduce the characters, get them used to their play styles and stuff, and then yeah, you want to at least visualize the plot in terms of how you can tell a story the best way you can. The margin of errors just allow you to like fit in extra time or let them do their own thing. The way I have this set up is though like these are just things that will happen over time, but you know. Now let's create a strong start. The hook of a strong start is very different than the strong start itself. You might think, oh, they're the same thing. No, they're not. So the strong starts are used as foundations for hooks. For example, the UNSC needs the team to pick up a package containing a smart AI, right? We have the action, we need to pick up the package. The urgency, it's a smart AI. That's pretty important. Feel free to create your own and post them in the comments. I'd love to see them. The strong hook. You might think of this like, oh, that's like D&D though. It's like the same as D&D. Not really, because D&D is like, my children are missing in the village. Can you go find them? Right? And since it's a very militaristic game, it's more like something has happened. Something's changed with the mission. The strong start, something's different from what we diverge. We diverge from the strong start, and it guides the player's directions. For example, my strong start would be the smart AI is not in the package. There are signs of tampering. That's pretty much for part one. If you have any questions, post in the comments. Join our Discord if you want to communicate with me instantly. All right, see ya.